What was the final, private gift Conway Twitty left behind, and why did Loretta Lynn keep it hidden for decades? Fans are just now discovering the envelope tucked away in her drawer, containing a heartfelt note, a stage photo, and a rough lyric sketch. Stay with us as we reveal the secret that changes everything fans thought they knew about their legendary partnership. When two voices met. The collision of two great voices is rare, but when Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty first sang together, the effect was electric. Both were already towering names in country music. Loretta, known for her sharp honesty and fearless storytelling, carried the grit of Kentucky coal country in her voice. Conway, who had reinvented himself after an early career in rock and roll, brought a smooth baritone that could melt even the toughest lyric into velvet. Their paths might never have crossed in such a profound way had it not been for one song that brought them into the studio together in 1971. That song, After the Fire Is Gone, would change the course of their careers forever. The session itself was unassuming, just another day in Nashville's bustling recording scene. But once the engineer hit record, something magical unfolded. Loretta's voice, edged with fire and truth, found its perfect counterpart in Conway's measured calm. The harmony wasn't just technically precise, it was emotionally complete. They sang like they had known each other for decades, though in truth their friendship was only beginning. The song climbed quickly up the charts, landing them a #1 hit and eventually a Grammy Award. But numbers and trophies only told part of the story. Fans were struck not just by the melody but by the undeniable chemistry. On radio waves and jukeboxes across the country, listeners heard something intimate and real, a pairing that felt destined. Loretta herself was taken aback by how easily Conway seemed to anticipate her phrasing. He never overpowered her, never tried to bend her style into his own. Instead, he slipped into her rhythm with a natural instinct, weaving around her voice like the missing harmony she didn't even know she needed. For an artist as independent as Loretta, who had fought tooth and nail to write her own songs and maintain her identity in a male-dominated industry, this was more than a collaboration. It was the discovery of a true equal on stage. In those early days, nobody in Nashville could ignore the spark. Label executives saw gold, promoters saw endless touring opportunities, and fans saw what looked very much like a romance unfolding in real time. Loretta and Conway would both spend years pushing back against those rumors, insisting their bond was not about love in the traditional sense, but about trust, respect, and a rare creative connection. Yet no amount of denial could erase what audiences thought they saw when the two locked eyes during a duet. The energy was undeniable, and whether real or imagined, it fueled the legend of their partnership. The impact of that first duet was immediate. It transformed the way both artists were booked and marketed. Suddenly, they were not just Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty. They were a unit, a package deal whose names appeared side by side on posters, tickets, and albums. Each of them already had a fiercely loyal fan base, but together they commanded a new kind of attention. Theirs was not the sweet, polished duet style of earlier country pairings. Instead, it carried an intensity that made audiences lean forward, listening as if eavesdropping on something private. For Loretta, it marked a turning point. She had always been bold in her solo work, unafraid to take on subjects like infidelity, women's rights, and the struggles of everyday family life. With Conway, she could explore another layer of storytelling, dialogue. Their songs often played like conversations, tug-of-war exchanges between two people tangled in love, temptation, or regret. Listeners related not just because the tunes were catchy, but because the emotions felt true. Conway, for his part, found in Loretta the perfect stage partner. He had spent years building a reputation for smooth, almost crooning love songs, but with Loretta he could step into grittier territory. Her raw energy balanced his polish, giving him an edge that he might not have tapped into alone. The result was a blend that redefined what a country duet could be. What made it so remarkable was how unforced it all seemed. There were no endless rehearsals or calculated image building before that first session. It was spontaneous, organic, and in that spontaneity lay its power. Even critics who were often harsh on commercial country music of the era could not deny the authenticity of their sound together. Looking back, it is easy to see that After the Fire Is Gone was more than just a hit record. It was the beginning of a story that fans would follow for decades, a story that blurred the lines between performance and reality. That first spark lit a flame that would carry them through countless duets, tours, and shared moments that shaped not just their careers, but the entire landscape of country music in the 1970s and 1980s. But if their voices blended so seamlessly in the studio, what happened when the spotlight dimmed and the two were left to navigate the grind of life on the road? Stay with us to uncover the truth. On the road, in the quiet. Life in the spotlight can look dazzling from the outside, but the reality of constant touring is far less glamorous. For Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty, their careers demanded an unrelenting pace of travel, performances, and long stretches away from home. It was in this hidden world, behind the roar of applause, that their bond deepened into something fans never fully understood. While their voices blended seamlessly on stage, it was the quiet hours on buses, the late-night talks in hotel hallways, and the unspoken routines of survival on the road that created a private world only the two of them inhabited. Touring during the 1970s and 1980s was not the polished, high-tech operation it is today. Performers often crisscrossed the country in buses that doubled as living quarters, carrying not only their clothes but also their exhaustion, frustrations, and fleeting joys. Long drives stretched through the night, the hum of the engine filling the silence between shows. Loretta, who had grown up in a cabin without running water or electricity, was no stranger to discomfort. Conway, who had already seen both the highs and lows of stardom, approached the road with steady discipline. Together, they learned how to make those endless miles bearable. Backstage, the scenes were far different from the glitter audiences saw under the lights. Dressing rooms were filled with hurried meals, last-minute wardrobe changes, and small moments of laughter shared before walking out to face thousands. Loretta, with her fiery personality, could turn even the dullest backstage corridor into a space of warmth. Conway, reserved but steady, became the anchor, the one who kept her grounded when the stress of relentless schedules threatened to overwhelm. It was here, in the makeshift family of tour buses and crew members, that Conway took on a role Loretta's fans rarely saw: protector. On the road, mishaps were inevitable. Flat tires in the middle of nowhere, promoters who failed to pay, and sudden illnesses were all part of the grind. Loretta's fiercely independent spirit sometimes clashed with the realities of these crises, but Conway's calm presence often smoothed over the chaos. He was the one who quietly stepped in when negotiations grew tense, who made sure the crew was looked after, and who ensured Loretta could focus on what she did best: singing. In those moments, their partnership moved beyond music. It became a daily practice of trust and reliance. Fans saw the glittering performances, but what they did not see were the small acts of loyalty behind closed doors. Loretta could be stubborn, sometimes insisting on pushing herself through exhaustion. Conway knew when to intervene, gently urging her to rest before her voice gave out. Their late-night conversations, often shared over lukewarm coffee in a bus kitchenette, ranged from family worries to the future of their careers. These talks were not rehearsals for the stage, but glimpses into two lives tethered together by circumstances only they could truly understand. The road also had its moments of joy. Between shows, there were nights when Conway would pull out a guitar and sing quietly, just for Loretta and a few crew members. These impromptu performances never reached the public, yet they were treasured by those lucky enough to witness them. Loretta, in turn, brought humor to even the most difficult situations. She had a way of turning setbacks into stories that made everyone laugh, keeping morale high when exhaustion threatened to sink the mood. While the public speculated endlessly about the nature of their relationship, the truth was far more complex. Touring together forged an intimacy that was not easily categorized. They became each other's constant in a world of constant change. For Loretta, whose husband often stayed home, Conway filled the void of companionship on the road. For Conway, Loretta's unfiltered honesty was refreshing in an industry where masks were the norm. Their bond was built not on scandal, but on the simple fact that they endured the same hardships night after night and came out stronger together. Over time, these shared experiences created an unshakable rhythm between them. They knew how to read each other's moods before a word was spoken, how to offer support without asking. It was this unspoken understanding that carried on to the stage, giving their duets a layer of authenticity no amount of rehearsal could create. To audiences, the sparks were visible in every performance. To Loretta and Conway, the sparks were simply the byproduct of countless nights weathered side by side. The truth is that the road forged something audiences would never hear in the lyrics alone. It wasn't romance, nor was it mere friendship. It was survival, woven with loyalty and sealed by shared sacrifice. But if life on the road bound them together, what happened when the cameras magnified their every glance and fans turned whispers into rumors? Stay with us to find out more. Stage chemistry, rumors, and the cameras. The magic of Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty's partnership did not stay confined to recording studios or tour buses. Once the stage lights came up and the audience's eyes locked on them, their chemistry took on a life of its own. What had started as a professional pairing quickly transformed into a spectacle that fans and the press could not stop analyzing. Every glance, every smile, and every lingering harmony became fuel for rumors that the two country icons were hiding a love affair. The truth was less sensational, but no less powerful. Loretta and Conway both knew the cameras never stopped watching. Audiences wanted not only music but a story, and together they gave them one. On stage, they leaned into each other's voices with a familiarity that seemed almost too intimate to be staged. When Loretta tossed her head back in laughter at one of Conway's playful remarks, fans believed they were glimpsing something private. When Conway's steady eyes locked on Loretta during the closing line of a song, the crowd erupted, convinced the look meant more than friendship. Their duets were built on tension, the kind of push and pull that made audiences lean forward as though eavesdropping on an argument or a confession. Songs like Louisiana Woman, Mississippi Man, or Feelin's played out as conversations that could just as easily have been overheard in a kitchen as sung in front of thousands. Loretta's fire, matched against Conway's calm, made the lyrics feel alive. What the crowd didn't realize was that this was part of their craft. They knew exactly how to inhabit a song so that it became believable, almost painfully real. Of course, Nashville gossip mills had a field day. Writers hinted at late-night rendezvous. Fans speculated that Conway was the true love of Loretta's life, rather than her husband, Oliver Doolittle Lynn. Loretta always bristled at the idea, making it clear she adored her husband, flaws and all. Conway, for his part, rarely addressed the rumors directly. Instead, he let his silence add to the mystery, and in doing so, the speculation only grew louder. The irony was that their very denials seemed to stoke curiosity even more. Behind the scenes, both artists were aware of how public perception could shape careers. Country music, with its emphasis on authenticity, often blurred the lines between personal life and performance. Loretta and Conway knew the whispers were impossible to stop, but they also understood something few others did. The rumors, while frustrating, kept audiences engaged. Promoters leaned into the intrigue, billing them as the hottest duo in country. The pair fans could not stop talking about. Whether or not the rumors were true mattered less than the fact that people bought tickets to see them together, hoping for a glimpse of what they believed was real. Their television appearances magnified the effect. On shows like Hee Haw or during televised award ceremonies, their banter was electric. They teased each other with the comfort of old friends, yet their timing and delivery carried the charge of flirtation. For television audiences, these small interactions seemed like undeniable proof of something more. Clips were replayed, photographs were scrutinized, and fans convinced themselves they were seeing a love story unfold right before their eyes. Loretta often remarked later that Conway treated her with respect in ways that many men in the industry did not. That respect was part of why their partnership thrived. But respect, when filtered through the lens of stage chemistry, often appeared to outsiders as romance. It was the cost of making art that felt real. People assumed it had to be real. Yet what truly set them apart was their ability to balance professionalism with authenticity. Many musical duos before them had attempted to craft an image of closeness. Few succeeded. Loretta and Conway didn't have to manufacture it. The bond they shared, rooted in years of touring, shared struggles, and deep trust, naturally spilled over into their performances. For the public, the result was irresistible. What fans didn't know was that this constant magnification came at a price. Loretta's husband sometimes resented the endless speculation, while Conway's own family had to endure the whispers. Still, both artists pressed forward, committed to the music above all else. They knew that what they had on stage was unique, and they refused to let gossip overshadow their creative triumphs. As the years rolled on, their performances only grew more convincing. The tension never faded, the sparks never dulled, and the rumors never stopped. In fact, the longer they sang together, the deeper the legend became. Fans didn't just come for the songs, they came for the story, real or imagined, that unfolded in every harmony and every lingering look. But when the stage lights dimmed and the curtain closed, how did Conway prove himself to Loretta in ways that went beyond whispers and rumor? Stay tuned as we reveal everything. The Quiet Protector. Country music duets often thrive on stage chemistry, but what set Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty apart was the way their partnership extended beyond microphones and spotlights. While the world speculated endlessly about their bond, what Loretta valued most was something far quieter. Conway's role as her steady protector in an industry that often tried to wear her down. Loretta had always been a fighter. From the moment she stepped into Nashville, she faced skeptics who doubted a coal miner's daughter could write songs that would sell records. She challenged men who told her to stick to safe subjects and defied censors who tried to silence her lyrics about women's struggles. That defiance made her beloved, but it also made her a target. She was outspoken in an era when women were expected to be anything but. In this storm, Conway became her calm. Unlike many men in the business, Conway didn't see Loretta as competition. He didn't try to overshadow her or dictate her choices. Instead, he became a sounding board, someone she could trust when others pressured her to compromise. In label meetings, his quiet nod of support carried weight. When industry executives pushed for changes she didn't want, Conway's steady presence often shifted the balance in her favor. He wasn't loud, but he was firm, and Loretta knew she could count on him when the stakes were high. On tour, this protectiveness took on a more practical form. Loretta traveled constantly, sometimes without her husband by her side, and long stretches away from home could leave her vulnerable. Conway was the one who made sure she wasn't left alone in tense situations. If an overeager promoter crossed a line or a fan became intrusive, Conway's very presence was enough to diffuse it. He didn't need to raise his voice. His reputation and stature did the work for him. Loretta would later say that he made her feel safe, and in a business where women were often taken advantage of, that kind of safety was priceless. Even in smaller, quieter ways, Conway's protective nature revealed itself. Loretta had a tendency to push herself too hard, often performing when she should have been resting. Her relentless drive sometimes put her health at risk, but Conway knew how to intervene without making her feel weak. He would gently suggest rearranging schedules, urge her to drink water, or quietly handle logistics so she could preserve her energy. These might have looked like small gestures, but they were acts of care that helped sustain her through the grueling pace of stardom. Their friendship was marked by honesty. Conway could tell Loretta when a decision wasn't wise, and she respected him enough to listen. She was famously headstrong, but Conway's advice cut through the noise because she trusted his intentions. He wasn't trying to control her, he was trying to shield her. In an industry full of egos and ulterior motives, that kind of sincerity was rare. Fans, of course, rarely saw this side of Conway. On stage, he was the polished crooner with a velvet voice, the man who played equal partner in passionate duets. Off stage, he was the anchor, steady and unwavering, offering Loretta something far more valuable than public adoration. He gave her a sense of stability in a life that often felt like a whirlwind. Perhaps what made Conway's protectiveness so remarkable was that it never diminished Loretta's independence. He didn't try to steal her spotlight or soften her fiery edge. Instead, he reinforced it, ensuring she had the space to be exactly who she wanted to be. Many artists never find that kind of ally, someone who celebrates their strength while quietly protecting them from harm. In the years they sang together, this role only grew more evident. While audiences speculated about romance, the truth was simpler but deeper. Conway was Loretta's shield in a world that didn't always welcome her boldness. His loyalty never wavered, even when the pressures of fame could have driven them apart. For Loretta, who had faced her share of personal challenges at home, Conway's steady presence was a reminder that she didn't have to fight every battle alone. He never replaced her husband, nor did he try to, but he occupied a space no one else could. He was proof that a partnership could exist on respect, loyalty, and care rather than scandal. How did this partnership withstand the heartbreak of sudden loss when tragedy struck without warning? Come with us to find out more. Grief that would not be sung. Some songs carry the weight of absence so heavily that they can never truly be completed. For Loretta Lynn, grief was never something to be rushed or publicized, especially when it came to Conway Twitty. Their collaboration was more than just musical. It was a bond shaped by mutual respect, personal understanding, and an unspoken intimacy that extended beyond the stage. This became clear in the private ways they supported each other during life's most devastating moments. When tragedy struck Loretta's family, Conway was the one who showed up quietly, offering comfort without fanfare, a testament to the personal loyalty that underpinned their professional partnership. But the suddenness of Conway's death on June 4, 1993, sent shockwaves through the world, and perhaps more profoundly, through those who knew him best. For Loretta, the loss was intimate and immediate. The man who had shared countless harmonies, late-night studio sessions, and stages across the country was gone. Beyond the public tributes and the outpouring of fans' grief, there remained a private mourning no one could capture. It was this loss that rendered some songs unfinishable. One particular duet, left unfinished at the time of Conway's passing, became a symbol of what was irretrievably lost. Loretta herself later recounted that she simply could not sing it without his presence, without the conversation that each verse represented, the musical dialogue that defined their creative chemistry. This grief was not just about a collaborator or a performer, it was about a voice that had shaped her own artistry. The inability to continue the song reflected the limits of public expression. While fans could honor Conway's memory through applause and tribute albums, the private sorrow was more complex, deeply layered, and irreducible to public ceremonies. Loretta's decision to retreat from singing this particular piece, to leave it unfinished, became an act of reverence. It was a recognition that some grief cannot be performed or commercialized, that some absences cannot be filled by substitutes, no matter how skilled. Conway Twitty's influence extended beyond the studio. He represented an irreplaceable presence in Loretta's musical and emotional world. The duet that remained unsung is a testament to their enduring connection, a song left suspended in time, echoing the idea that the most profound artistic collaborations are sometimes defined as much by their silences as by their sound. For Loretta, this was not a tragedy to overcome, but a memory to honor, a voice to preserve in its absence. How do you honor a voice that no longer answers you back? Let us tell you. The envelope in the drawer. Sometimes the most telling stories are hidden in the smallest objects. After Loretta Lynn passed away, her family discovered a modest envelope tucked away in a drawer, a private relic that instantly reframed their understanding of her life and work. Inside was a stage photograph, a rough lyric sketch titled "The Last Time I'll Say Goodbye," and Conway Twitty's unmistakable handwriting. The note was simple but profound, pleading that the duo's partnership not be forgotten. It was a quiet testament to the care and consideration that had always defined their relationship. The discovery of the envelope revealed layers of intention. Loretta had deliberately hidden it, choosing to safeguard a deeply personal connection from the gaze of the public. It was never meant to be a publicity tool or a posthumous headline. It was a personal gift, a private acknowledgement of shared history. Her family, upon discovering it, recognized the significance of both the physical object and the sentiment it contained. Rather than rushing to share it with the world, they chose to honor it quietly, preserving its intimacy while acknowledging its role as a bridge between the two legendary performers. The contents of the envelope offer insight into both the artistry and the humanity of Loretta and Conway. The photo serves as a visual anchor to their shared moments on stage. The lyric sketch represents a creative collaboration frozen in time, unfinished, yet full of meaning, and Conway's handwritten message underlines the deliberate choice to safeguard memories from being exploited or forgotten. This small artifact embodies the depth of their connection and the seriousness with which they regarded one another's legacy. In revealing it, Loretta's family also posed an unspoken lesson about respect, memory, and discretion. Not all history needs to be public to be meaningful. Not all gifts need applause to retain their significance. The envelope became a tangible representation of the duo's lifelong pact, a pact that balanced artistry with trust, private devotion with professional integrity. It is a poignant reminder that the most intimate expressions of love and collaboration are often invisible to the audience, but crucial to the narrative of lives well lived. Why safeguard a note like that, rather than share it with the world? Come with us to know. After the reveal, memory, music, and the ethics of private gifts. When private artifacts emerge, they inevitably reshape the way we interpret history. The discovery of Conway Twitty's envelope within Loretta Lynn's personal effects reframes their partnership not as a career-driven alliance, but as a lifelong pact of protection and devotion. This private artifact, once hidden, now acts as a lens through which fans, historians, and archivists must reconsider the legacy of two of country music's most iconic figures. It challenges the simplistic narrative of duets as entertainment, highlighting instead the profound mutual care and creative intimacy that defined their work. The envelope raises ethical questions about the intersection of privacy and public interest. Should unfinished songs be completed posthumously? Should personal messages and sketches be shared with the public? Loretta's decision to keep the envelope private during her life and her family's continued discretion reflect an awareness of boundaries often overlooked in celebrity culture. By choosing to protect the note's intimacy, they preserved the integrity of a bond that was never intended for mass consumption, reminding us that some elements of artistic collaboration are sacred, meant for the hearts of those involved, rather than the scrutiny of audiences. Beyond ethics, the revelation offers new perspectives on the music itself. Listeners may now hear duets differently, recognizing that every note, every lyric, was part of a dialogue rooted in personal respect and shared experience. The unfinished song, the sketch, and the message provide context that deepens appreciation, shifting focus from technical skill or chart success to the nuanced story behind the music. Conway and Loretta's relationship becomes a model of how private devotion can coexist with public achievement, how discretion can heighten rather than diminish legacy. Ultimately, the envelope transforms both memory and music. It becomes a symbol of fidelity, creativity, and the responsibilities inherent in handling personal artifacts. Its discovery does not diminish the magic of their performances. It enhances it, reminding us that true artistry often lives in the spaces between what is seen, heard, and shared. As future generations encounter their music, they will do so with the knowledge that these songs, these notes, and these personal gestures were part of a carefully guarded narrative, one of mutual respect and lifelong devotion. Which part of Conway's hidden gift surprised you the most? Was it the personal note, the unfinished lyrics, or the way Loretta safeguarded this intimate moment? Share your thoughts in the comments below.